So I really wasn't expecting to record today's video. It actually really surprised me. EA announced this new thing called Sims Labs, which I'm not sure quite what it is. It's not the EA Creator Network. I think it's just like a network of people who want to test EA games. So if you agree to be a part of Sims Labs, then I believe you're going to be getting surveys about the Sims. You're going to be getting free playtests. You know, those things that leaked before the very tragic playtest leaks of Project Renee. That kind of stuff is coming from Sims Labs, and another Sims Labs leak has come in the form of inZOI, and EA seem extremely interested in inZOI. In fact, they've shown over 80 questions worth of interest in inZOI. So I was looking on Reddit and I found this. People in the Sims Labs received a survey invite talking about inZOI. I found another post here looking at some of the questions. So it says, for example, how many hours have you spent doing the following in inZOI? Creating your ZOI, using the clothing editor, playing with your ZOIs. And then they're asking for a comparison, for example, with clothing. The game has good quality clothing. Is this better in The Sims or better in inZOI or equal in both games? So EA are asking questions directly comparing The Sims 4 to inZOI. So much for the so here's your fruitcake. It seems like the warm welcome was only temporary. I've tried to take the survey myself, but as you can see, it says this survey is not accepting any additional responses. The only place that I can find like every single question is on the Sims community website. It seems EA are allegedly asking how many hours you've spent doing certain things in the game. They're asking for demographic information of obviously like people who have played inZOI, asking people what they like and dislike about inZOI. They've even taken the time to take screenshots of inZOI themselves and share the screenshots and ask in very specific detail, for example, how satisfied are you with things like skin tone, character voice, makeup, ear piercings. EA is asking these really specific questions. How satisfied are you like with the shape and size of the eyes and the mouth? It's just so specific. EA is doing some extremely detailed market research in inZOI, allegedly. And again, asking some questions directly comparing inZOI to The Sims 4. For example, the traits I select have a real impact on my gameplay. Is this more true for The Sims 4 or more true for inZOI or equal in both? They've also asked about Canvas, which is the inZOI version of the gallery. They've even asked a question, guys. How do you feel about generative AI being added to inZOI? Further asking people to explain, which is really interesting. For EA to ask all these questions about inZOI in that much detail so openly is genuinely bizarre. Technically, it's not open because it was a part of a private survey kind of thing for their Sims Labs, but we all know, including EA, that things leak. Everything from Sims Lab has leaked. Literally everything has leaked. So they obviously went into this knowing that it would leak, seeing that they knew that everything else had leaked. Like 1 and 1 is 2, the sky is blue. So they knew that this would come out. And given that, they more than likely also knew that inZOI would find out. And like, obviously, like we're all going to find out. Like they've literally asked like this huge survey. I definitely think the release of inZOI actually gives EA a lot of great free market research because they can literally see online what people are saying that they like and dislike about inZOI and use that to shape Project Renee. This is why I've said all along, even if you don't play a competitor of The Sims, it will still have a very positive impact on The Sims with other life simulation games existing. But then it also feels just like a little bit petty. It's kind of like, is she over there dressed better than me? Is she dressed better than me? Is his hair better than mine? Like it's kind of giving like, imagine if it was, like Xbox or PlayStation. It was like Xbox asking their users, is the PlayStation console, like sexier than the, like, do you know what I mean? Like it's just weird. So I definitely think think this was a very brave survey for them to do. It almost feels as if EA are kind of leeching from the success of the initial early access launch of inZOI, and potentially, allegedly, based on my opinion, putting 2 and 2 together, it looks like they are trying to see what players like about inZOI and maybe considering using that for whatever the next Sims project is going to be. The Sims 4, well, the current project that's never ending, it's never dying. It's just very, very strange. And you know, video game developers, they do market research all the time. Market research is so normal. For example, asking questions like, how would you feel about generative AI in The Sims? How would you feel about a color wheel being added to The Sims 4? They would ask these kind of questions, but to say inZOI has this feature, is it better or worse than in The Sims 4? It's a very intense direct comparison, and it can only make me feel like EA are worried about inZOI for sure. I definitely get the impression that they're concerned with just like how quickly it's grown and how much success it's had almost instantly. It has lost some of that success, which we will go over later, but it's also got a lot of widespread success. And I feel like The Sims is in a state right now where it's very niche. This always happens when a brand new Sims game has released. Well, that's only happened 4 times, but usually like everybody latches onto it because it comes like this new trending game, but then the player base kind of dwindles and it becomes more of like a niche player base. So because inZOI is just released, it's in its kind of like widespread state right now where like everybody's really into it, and I don't know if it's going to funnel down over time or if it's just going to spread even wider, just like my legs no, I'm joking, my legs weren't spread. I wish they were, not for a chronically single person like me. Anyway, back to the video. I also think it's a bit worrying EA are taking the focus away from themselves. Like, they will do anything than blame themselves for the state of The Sims 4, it seems. Instead of looking inwards, they're looking outwards at what other people are doing. And it's like, you know, when you're fat like me right now and you look at other people and they're like really fit or they're skinny or they've got a good body and you think like, oh, I wish I could look like that. Oh, why doesn't my body look like that? I bet they're doing steroids. But if you just take your focus away from them and instead focus on yourself and think, you know what, I'm going to be healthy, I'm going to focus on my own exercise, that's when you start to look great, right? So if we apply that metabolic metaphor to this situation, it's like focusing too much on the outside and seeing what other people are doing instead of just focusing on being accountable for themselves. Because the Sims team have released a lot of shite, let's be honest. And yes, the B-roll that is playing on your screen right now is 100% intentional. And if you're listening to this video like a podcast instead of actually watching it, I'm showing The Sims 4 My Wedding Stories and The Sims 4 Dine Out and The Sims 4 For Rent because they're very broken and seem to have no hope of being fully fixed. Because the last thing I want the Sims team to do is to just copy what inZOI is doing right and putting it into The Sims with disregard for everything that The Sims is doing wrong. Because you can do as many surveys as you like about inZOI, but that won't tell you what's going wrong with The Sims. And it also makes me worried about the identity of The Sims, because The Sims has had such a strong identity for like 25 years now. If The Sims, the OG life simulation game, is kind of looking into and directly comparing themselves to other life simulation games, then is it because they're losing their identity? Because again, when you take that focus outwards instead of inwards, I do think you begin to lose that identity. I think it's really difficult to say if EA are worried or not about inZOI because The Sims is an incredibly well-performing game. I mean, they just release overpriced DLC after DLC. People have been eating it up for 20 years and there's no sign of it stopping. So clearly The Sims model works financially, and regardless of the quality of the game, it still continues to consistently work, which I think is really interesting. I definitely think The Sims has a very strong foundation and it's not going anywhere, especially considering the quality of some of the recent packs has actually gone up a bit. Emphasis on some, because the Love Struck was pretty abysmal. But I thought the Businesses and Hobbies pack was quite a quirky new pack to have in your game. Life and Death honestly was like the best best Sims 4 expansion pack I think they've ever released in terms of features. So it seems like they are trying in some ways, maybe not trying in other ways. Love struck. But then I also think, is this inZOI survey about shaping the future of The Sims or The Sims 4? Because the survey questions were directly comparing inZOI to The Sims 4. And we know that we're getting years and years and years until the day I die worth of DLC for Sims 4 packs coming. So they're clearly not killing off The Sims 4 anytime soon. So what, are they going to look at an inZOI feature and think, oh, players like this about inZOI, so let's put it in The Sims 4? I mean, let's put it in a $39.99 pack for The Sims 4. But then like they just can't keep adding more and more features to The Sims 4 because they've been doing that for quite a few years now and it's not going very well for the game. I'm genuinely tempted at this point to actually uninstall a few packs from my game that I don't even play with anymore because it's just getting out of hand, which is maybe another tangent for another day. Anyway, you tell me, what's your speculation as to why EA have done such an elaborate and detailed survey about inZOI, directly comparing it to The Sims, and you let me know what you think. Do you think they're scared or do you think it's something else? Make sure you subscribe so you do not miss a future video. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.